Dozens were arrested overnight in Brooklyn Center as police dispersed the crowds gathered in front of the police department. Officers took action when they say protesters began throwing objects and fireworks at them. It is the third night of unrest following Sunday's officer-involved shooting of 20-year-old Daunte Wright. The officer accused of shooting him, Kim Potter, along with the Brooklyn Center police chief, have now resigned, and Potter is expected to be charged as soon as today.
We do have teams live in Brooklyn Center this morning. Ginna Roe brings us more on those potential charges. We start with Ashley Zilka and what exactly happened overnight. Ashley.
Good morning. Well, law enforcement agencies said they had hoped for a more peaceful night, but unfortunately, that did not happen. Overnight, they say about 60 people were arrested for rioting and other criminal acts. That's the most arrests made so far this week.
We recognize the pain the community is facing from what happened Sunday. We don't like that. The person is no longer a police officer, and they'll be held accountable for their actions. But we can't have people hurting our communities, and we can't have people hurting the men and women who are paid to protect them.
Officials with Operation Safety Net gave an update early this morning. Law enforcement showed items they say were thrown at officers during the protest, which included bricks, a light, and even cans. They said peaceful protests were supported and encouraged, but as the night went on, tensions rose and groups tried to knock down the fence that surrounds this police department. Matt Langer with the Minnesota State Patrol said it started with fireworks and other activities that led to a riot. Our crews outside the police department last night spotted law enforcement deploying what appeared to be chemical irritants to get control of the crowd.
It's extremely difficult, extremely tiring, extremely dangerous, volatile, contentious work. And the instructions that we give are to go out there and try as hard as you can to be as professionally as you possibly can be in the face of chaos and in the face of people that are intent to do harm on our officers.
We talked with the acting city manager of Brooklyn Center overnight. Reggie Edwards said they intend to provide a space for people to express their First Amendment rights without causing violence. Although it has not been made official, he anticipates another curfew in the city tonight. Now, Edwards said there were no significant injuries reported during last night's riots. We are still waiting to get that exact number of arrests that have been made. But again, that number is around 60. Reporting live in Brooklyn Center, Ashley Zilka, 5 Eyewitness News.
And with the resignation of Officer Potter, people are calling for justice and they want to see her charged. Washington County is investigating based on an agreement with Hennepin County in order to avoid a conflict of interest when it comes to officer-involved shootings.
Ginna Roe is live from the Memorial for Wright in Brooklyn Center with more on the legal battle that Potter could face. Ginna.
Yeah, Megan and Chris, you can see that memorial here at 63rd and Lee is growing. This is the spot where Daunte Wright was shot. We spoke with a legal expert who says even if his death was accidental, he fully expects to see criminal charges against former Officer Potter.
Absolutely. It's like every time somebody driving drunk runs over somebody, it's an accident in common parlance, but that doesn't mean it's not a crime.
Joe Freeberg is a criminal defense attorney who handles felony cases. Body camera video shows Potter shooting 20-year-old Daunte Wright during a traffic stop on Sunday as he was trying to get back into his car. The city's former police chief said he believed Potter accidentally discharged her weapon, believing she was using her taser and not her gun. Freeberg tells us, in his opinion, the only potential charge he can see Officer Potter facing is second-degree manslaughter. And if that is the case, the state would have to prove something called culpable negligence.
Ordinary negligence is something that any one of us might do on a bad day. Culpable negligence is something that we really could never see ourselves doing. Whenever there's a firearm, there should be a heightened degree of care. And so this police officer would say, I was negligent. I did something that worked out terribly that I didn't plan to do.
Again, this is just Freeberg's legal opinion, and as Chris mentioned, we are expecting to hear formal charges at some point later in the day, and that will be coming from Washington County Attorney's Office. Reporting live in Brooklyn Center, Ginna Roe, 5 Eyewitness News.
Ginna, thank you. Meanwhile, Brooklyn Center's mayor says he has not accepted Potter's resignation. Here's the reasoning he gave ABC News during a one-on-one interview.
Have you accepted that resignation?
As of this moment, no.
And why is that?
We're still working through our own processes and making sure that we take the steps that are necessary to either accept the resignation or let's just say my team is evaluating the current circumstances, which are very complex.
This all comes amid outcry from community leaders. They want Potter fired because a resignation could allow her to collect a pension.
Now, we are hearing directly from Daunte Wright's family, who was joined by the family of George Floyd, and civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who represents them. Standing shoulder to shoulder in front of worldwide media, they voiced their devastation over Sunday's shooting. Wright's mother fought back tears as she spoke.
That was the last time that I seen my son. That's the last time I heard from my son, and I have had no explanation since then. His smile. Oh, Lord, the most beautiful smile. Y'all took that. My nephew's blood is on y'all hands.
Both families calling for changes in policing and for the officer to be prosecuted for the pain she has caused.
For the second day in a row, President Biden addressed the unrest in Brooklyn Center and the death of Daunte Wright. He did so yesterday alongside Vice President Kamala Harris as they met with members of the Congressional Black Caucus.
You know, Daunte Wright in Minnesota, that god-awful shooting resulting in his death, and in the midst of an ongoing trial over the killing of George Floyd, and Lord only knows what's happened based on what the verdict will or will not be there. We also have an awful lot of things we have to deal with, not when it only comes to police, when it comes to advancing equality, economic opportunity.
The president says it's been a painful week, but they are in a position to deliver real change. When asked about what his administration would do about the interactions between police and the black community in the country, the president replied, a lot, but he did not give details. Stick with 5 Eyewitness News as we await the decision on charges for the former Brooklyn Center officer. You can also get alerts on developments in the case by downloading the KSTP app.